in the Kentucky Derby.
Move around the turn. The leader, War Admiral, 2.5 for 3.
That's what it is in the center of the racetrack. The Admiral Sloop drawing alongside again.
War Emblem is still there. War Emblem, he's pulling away. He's got another gear. Yeah, the Swiss they come in the Derby. Wheel away takes command. Lion Heart is all heart. Smarty Jones is all out. And here is the first undefeated winner of the Kentucky Derby since Seattle's Slow of 1976.
And a good morning beneath the Twin Spires here in Louisville, Kentucky, as we continue on toward Oaks and Derby. Each day we get a little bit closer, and the crowd grows. You can feel the tension, the backstretch starting to buzz a little bit more each and every day. Today the track is fast for training. It says fair, but I think we're going to get some sunshine today. We're in the 40s right now, but the temperature is creeping up. Figures to be a nice couple of days. Hopefully we can dodge a little bit of rough weather over the weekend. We'll see how that pans out. Still a ways to go there as we welcome you to the Morning Workout Show presented by TwinSpires.com. And there's a lot going on, as there always is, in the days leading up to the Kentucky Derby. Chief Wallaby really turned some heads yesterday. It was quite the buzz workout. We'll talk more about that as he added the blinkers in his preparation for the Kentucky Derby. Some more arrivals to the racetrack. Incredibolt, who we saw here last year win the Street Sense, arrived at Churchill Downs yesterday, as did Emerging Market. Lightly raced but undefeated. He figures to take some action in the Derby. And, of course, Sovereignty is back on the grounds, winner of last year's Kentucky Derby. He had his return race this past weekend at Oaklawn. He's going to be at Churchill for a little bit, so that'll be fun to see over the next few weeks. And this weekend, opening weekend here at Churchill Downs, racing on Saturday and Sunday. It is not Saturday night. If you come Saturday night, you will be late. We are racing Saturday in the afternoon and Sunday in the afternoon for opening weekend. From the Aristides Loft here on the front side of Churchill Downs, Travis Stone for Tony Kalo. How we doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
All right.
A little chilly in the morning, but a beautiful afternoon yesterday. Hopefully it continues today.
It was a true spring afternoon yesterday, not a cloud in the sky. It's a little bit warmer today.
Yes.
As we welcome you to Churchill Downs and the Morning Workout Show and all sorts of stuff happening today. A lot to get to. But first off, let's head to the backstretch where Professor Kevin Kilroy's on hand.
Good morning, guys. Another chilly morning, but it's going to be a beautiful day out here. I'll tell you what, it's been the busiest morning here at Churchill Downs so far. Just tons of horses coming out to get their exercise and looking good doing it. We'll see some firsters in that Kentucky Derby, Kentucky Oaks designated work period. Incredible. Emerging Market, also Bella Ballerina, that Oaks filly for Brendan Walsh will join us there. And coming from California later on today, we'll see Pavlovian and Trepido arrive at the track, as well as McCarthy's pair of Oaks fillies, Brooklyn Blonde and Meaning. I'll be joined by one of three of the jockeys who piloted multiple horses to this year's Kentucky Derby just in a couple minutes. But for now, let's send it to Ren Carruthers. She's somewhere back here on the backside. Ren, good morning.
Good morning. We've talked a lot about horses making their arrivals. Well, dual Hall of Famer Mark Casse, he's going to be making his arrival later this afternoon. I'm outside of his barn right now. As you know, he's got Silent Tactic, winner of the Southwest Stakes. He was second in the Rebel. And last out, second in the Arkansas Derby, beaten 4 by Renegade. He also has Counting Stars. She won the Fantasy. Be really excited to see what he has to say about these horses as we progress through this week. But it's been busy out here. I've already seen a couple of the Brad Cox horses on track this morning. With my own eyes, I saw Full Effort, who looked beautiful out there, as well as Further Ado at the barn. And I was really taken aback by just how chill a dude Further Ado is. He just stands there like it's nothing, like he's an older horse, which is going to be a really good thing for him, given that the Kentucky Derby, that crowd, it's going to be unlike anything these 3-year-olds have ever seen before. But yeah, lots coming up. I'm going to be bringing you a pedigree profile on Full Effort later on. But for now, back to Travis and Tony in the studio.
Mark Casse has a couple of contenders both in the Kentucky Oaks and obviously a live contender at the Kentucky Derby. Excited to see what he says as we roll into the Derby. And this leaderboard, Tony, has, knock on wood, not changed much on this first page or second page. A lot of major players on there.
A lot of major players, and like you said, knock on wood, let's keep the leader, but let's keep them all intact. That's what you want to see. You don't really want to see any more defections at this juncture.
Stark Contrast and Iron Honor are what we would call probably still on the fence.
Right.
Based on what the connections are saying. They're not completely convinced they're going to run in the Kentucky Derby, which would free up a couple of spots on the AE list, which would obviously be meaningful for them, but also meaningful in terms of the pace of the race. Chip Honcho has real speed. And Trepido has some speed too, but Chip Honcho is faster.
Very legitimate speed with Chip Honcho. He ran his heart out in defeat a couple races back.
Professor Kevin Kilroy on the backstretch. He had a big tease there for an interview today. Let's find out who he's about to talk to back on the backstretch here at Churchill.
Pleased to be joined by the one and only Jaime Torres. Jaime piloted both Incredible and Albus to this year's Kentucky Derby, winning the Virginia Derby and the Wood Memorial. Good morning, Jaime. How's it going?
Very good, very good. Good morning.
So, getting two horses here to the Derby, how'd you make the decision to choose Incredible as your Derby mount?
Yeah, I got in communication with Riley. He asked me which one of the other I want to ride, and yeah, I choose Incredible just because he has run here twice, won at both of them, and I think I have spent more time on him than I have in Albus, and yeah, I think he's a little bit more mature.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take you back to the street since when you won it with Incredible. You told all of us that he was going to take you to the Kentucky Derby. What have you seen in Incredible since he was a baby that's given you so much confidence?
Since the first time I worked him, I felt like I was on a horse that it was an old horse. You know, he was very, very mature, had a lot of class, and just the gallopao. The gallopao is what tells me how good the horse is. And both of them, they both, since I got on them from the beginning, I know they had a lot of talent.
Yeah. And then in terms of not firing in the Holy Bull, coming back in the Virginia Derby, I thought that was one of the more visually impressive performances of this prep season. What did you find out about Incredible, and how can that set him up for success in the Kentucky Derby?
I will say that he can run from anywhere, you know. You can try to keep him close, come from behind, and he doesn't care about the kickback. And yeah, yes, you can see there the way he saw the clear and pulled up from the other horses was amazing. The gallop out, when the horse from Bob Buffer came on the inside, he jumped back on the beat. Yeah, that's a good feeling.
Absolutely. And then Albus, you've been on him since he was a baby. He went from a sort of forward wind breaking his maiden to coming from off of it to get that Wood Memorial done. How has he matured, and how impressed are you with him?
Very, very impressed. I mean, just coming from breaking his maiden and going to that kind of stake and winning the way he did it, coming from very off the pace and in between traffic, getting a lot of dirt. It was kind of muddy. He didn't care at all, and yeah, they were pretty far forward, and just from him coming from that maiden special way and do it so classy, so like an old horse, it was impressive.
Super impressive. Love to see him get it done in that one, and I love that you've done this for Pin Oak Stud and Riley Mott. We'll see Incredible work this weekend. We haven't seen him work here during this the morning work show. What should we expect from him as a workhorse this weekend?
He's a very classy horse. I think I haven't talked with Riley about it. Maybe he will go in company, just sitting outside and just trying to find a good gallop out. Not much. I think that the work is already done. And yeah, just keep him happy. That's all.
All right, thank you, Jaime Torres. Congratulations on getting to this year's Kentucky Derby. Guys, he called his shot after the street sense that Incredible would take him to the Kentucky Derby. And now we'll see if Incredible can get that blanket of roses here on that first Saturday of May.
I think he's a horse, Tony, that is likely to outrun his odds. You can really make a case as you weave through his PPs that there's more there.
I would agree. 2 starts over the surface, both victories. His only dull effort at Gulfstream Park. I guess the question mark being the one-turn Virginia Derby, and then he hasn't been seen in the afternoon since the middle of March.
Bit of a break. You heard him you heard Jaime Torres mention, got his work done. Speaking of getting work done, there was a workout here yesterday that turned some heads, and perhaps because it was kind of a quiet Monday and there was not much else going on, so people lapped onto this. But this is Chief Wallaby, who certainly figures to be top 5 betting favorites, depending on how some of this shakes out. I think there's a lot of fluidity in how some of these horses are going to get bet. But this was a fairly serious move from a serious racehorse.
Pre-work yesterday, we were hoping for double digits. Now a lot of people are under the assumption maybe he's going to fall into single digits, 8-1, somewhere in that range. An excellent, excellent move from Chief Wallaby. Travis, it seems like every day we get a buzz move. The day before the Puma, yesterday Chief Wallaby. What have you done for me lately? Who's going to be the guy who steps up today with a good work? But this was awesome.
Yeah, they put the blinkers on him because you kind of could read through the lines of what they were saying, they being Bill Mott, Junior Alvarado. The horse kind of looks around a little bit, not entirely focused. So they put the blinkers on him for this workout and obviously cruised along early on, but it's what happened from the wire beyond, this finish off, this gallop out, that really turned the heads.
Well, you just heard Jaime Torres talking about Incredible coming up this weekend. What they're looking for is that good gallop out. That's what Chief Wallaby did yesterday. It just indicates the added real estate shouldn't be a problem, and you want to see a horse with a lot of enthusiasm and energy in the concluding stages of the work versus the early portion.
We talked to both Bill Mott and Junior Alvarado. Bill's a bit of a subdued guy. Let's see if we can read between the lines on his reaction to this work.
Chief Wallaby worked very good. I had him very good. He finished up really good and galloped out around the turn. He worked out to the 7/8 pole, but then continued the gallop out, looked smooth and finished really nice. He just was green in between horses. It looked like he was running in spots. And he's an inexperienced horse. He's only had a limited number of races, and, he just probably needs a little something to help him focus a little bit. I've always believed that a Derby winner needed to run as a 2-year-old, and of course we're not in that situation. There's, it seems like everything's changing a little bit. There's a lot of horses coming in with fewer races.
It was pretty straightforward today. His workout today was very beautiful. Gallop out very strong, focus 100% in his work, and I'm very happy the way he did it today. He's maturing more now. He's he started his racing career a little bit late, but I think he's catching up at the right time.
Race, Tony.
I like what he says, catching up at the right time.
Yeah. You could feel some confidence there, though. I think they were happy with what they saw yesterday. Chief Wallaby, major player in the Kentucky Derby, another major player. There's actually 3 major players coming out of one barn. We'll talk about all 3. First off, commanded for trainer Brad Cox. Beat Chief Wallaby last time. I think the question is whether or not Commandment goes off second or third choice at this point, even though on paper you could make a case you could almost be favored.
Yeah, you really could. He's won 4 in a row. He's won both of the big preps in Florida, the Fountain of Youth and the Florida Derby, defeating Chief Wallaby on both of those occasions, defeating the Puma in the Florida Derby. He's a relentless rallier. He just has that nose for the wire. He's not going to flash you in the morning. This is just a maintenance little gallop, a little jog for him here, a little gallop 2 days after the workout, so this is the first time he gets to stretch his legs. But his running style indicates a 1.25 miles is okay. Orb, his grandsire, was able to win the Kentucky Derby. He's a major player. I love his chest. I love his back end. He's perfectly put together.
Yeah, Commandment came out early yesterday morning before we came on the air yesterday, so this is before you and I probably crawled out of bed, getting back to the track after his workout.
I was up at 4:30 yesterday.
So. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Brad also has, he's just got contender after contender. He's got Further Ado, who I think you can make the case as well when you look at his PPs that he's supposed to be favored. I obviously have to answer the question. His best races have come down the road in the 859 at Keeneland. This is a different racetrack.
This is a different racetrack, but he does have a victory on it to conclude his 2-year-old campaign, and he got a beautiful setup in the bluegrass. Here's a horse on 2 occasions, granted both at Keeneland, that just dazzled. A 20-length score and 11-length score. Horses with immense talent win by those type of margins.
Brad was confident enough in this horse. He sent him up to Saratoga last summer, going 1 turn, and if you watch those replays, though he lost, you could see there was something there. This horse is not a sprinter. When they stretched him out, he turned a corner.
And Saratoga's tough. A lot of people want to have their 2-year-old strut their stuff and get to the winner's circle at Saratoga. So I give them a little bit even more, move them up. saying, hey, he debuts at Saratoga, so that's a very good point. And as you mentioned, he's really excelled with the added real estate.
He feels like a horse that's all or nothing to me. Either he's gonna crush this field, or he's not gonna run that top A effort. We'll see how that pans out for him. And if he doesn't pan out, I mean, Brad's got another horse, a horse named Full Effort, who you're familiar with. This is not your typical, in my opinion, sort of synthetic-y type horse.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he has dirt blood top and bottom. Liam's Map out of an awesome, again, mare. And, you know, the question marks are the surface, but we'll see. You know, you never know until they run. I mean, getting kickback from the dirt when there's 19 other horses to deal with is significantly different than being on the outside of a workmate. I will give him credit. His last victory, Irad Ortiz got him into play near the quarter pole versus his previous defeats. And if you looked at the recent workout the other day, they went 59-1, and he's right there on top of it. So I think that's what they want. They don't want that late move in the final quarter of a mile.
Yeah, in turf racing and a little bit in synthetic racing as well, it's kind of slow early, quick burst late. That doesn't really win races like the Kentucky Derby, but last time, in the Jeff Ruby, he actually kind of made a sustained long move. Like, he got going before they even hit the far turn.
Stark Contrast was the first getting first run, and Full Effort was right after him following that path. And that was the difference between coming up empty in the preps versus winning the big dance.
You never know until you put them on the surface that they have to run on, so I think there's some question marks there. But what do we see in terms of pedigree? Well, let's find out more from Ren. We're having technical difficulties hearing from Ren. Whatever she was saying, she definitely was believing in it. So hopefully we can get back with her and find out. But you mentioned there's some dirt pedigree there.
Without a doubt. Liam's Map out of an awesome, again, mare. The sibling Power Squeeze Ren was going to talk about, and she will eventually get to, has had success, won the Alabama. I forgot about that. I kind of liked her a little bit going into the Oaks, but she ended up winning at 10 furlongs in the Alabama. So the blood is there for the dirt.
You can see the racetrack here at Churchill Downs is clear as we get ready for the special designated training time. You can see L&N Stadium back there where the Louisville Cardinal football team plays.
Nice.
Brad Cox.
My neighbor played for the Cardinals back in the 80s.
Oh, there you go. How about, did you get his autograph? Did he get your autograph? Maybe that's the better question.
He can't figure out who I am.
Oh, we know who you are.
Is that the lawn keeper over there? Out there yesterday doing a bunch of yard work.
There you go. One guy who's known around Louisville is Brad Cox.
That's for sure.
He won with Mandaloon in 2021, but he's had a lot of horses run well in the Derby.
He has. You talked about it off the air. Angel of Empire was closing in very nicely. There's been many others, and he's had other horses that were kind of maybe not legitimate Derby horses, like Verifying, who kind of was a dressed up going into the race and just was pure speed early. It looks like this year he's got a stacked hand.
We talked to Jamie Torres earlier, I should say, with Incredible. The other half that, if you will say, team for trainer Riley Mott and Pin Oak Stud is Albus, who's going to come from off the pace, winner of the Wood Memorial. Riley's done a great job getting two horses to the Kentucky Derby this year, after particularly with Incredible having that weak return race. But Albus he's at least up and coming. The questions are obvious, though. Is he fast enough? Is he going to get the pace? Is he going to be the best closer in this race? But at least he's coming into the race the right way.
Yeah, definitely. His last couple of races are victories, and it seems like since he's been getting a little more ground as a 3-year-old, he's doing better. Y'all pound blood up top. What do you think about that going a mile and a quarter?
I'm a little dubious, but it's not like he didn't finish the 9 furlong Wood. So that's one thing to consider. The other flip side of that argument would be that the pace in the Wood was pretty quick.
Yeah, the pace was quick, and the level of competition behind him. He's got some legitimate horses to deal with here.
Trainer Riley Mott, a couple of Derby starters this year. He's been great so far in this Derby trail, and we spoke to him.
Really well. Came out of that maintenance work from the other day very well. Went back to the track this morning and galloped 1 mile, which is typical for us, first day back. And he looks well in the flesh, feeling good, looking good, so we're in good shape at the moment. I see a lot of Bernardini in him, which is on the bottom side of his pedigree. He won well going a mile in an eighth in the Wood, and was a little green when he hit the front. It looked like he was idling a little bit, flopped to his left lead, and just looked like there could be a little bit more room to improve, which is a positive in the way I see it. So, looking forward to the 1.25 miles with him. I don't think, he has many limitations distance-wise. Just got here early this morning off the van from Florida. Looks well. Just walked the shed, and really happy with the way he traveled. We certainly needed to see that effort from him in Virginia, and we were confident he was capable of that. But he definitely, after having that poor run at Gulfstream, really needed to see him do it. So luckily he came back in really good shape and has trained well since. And again, we're hopeful he can still improve. Very blessed and fortunate to have learned under him and the people that work with him and for him, and I've taken a little bit from everybody, not only in his operation, but from my peers and other trainers and operations that we work around every day. So just feel very blessed to be here and being in the mix, and hopefully we can get to Derby Day in good shape.
Riley Mott with a pair of Derby runners coming up. Incredible, did finish off that Virginia Derby the right way. He was impressive.
Very stylish.
Nice stride. I believe we've got Ren back in action, and she's going to talk to us about Full Effort.
Yes. You got me back. And yes, that is dirt pedigree. He is the son of Liam's Map, who won the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile in record time. Don't forget Liam's Map himself, half-brother to Nat this time. And the reason these boys are having such great success at stud, I think has a little to do with the fact that they come from the family of a couple of Hall of Famers in Ta Wee and Dr. Fager, the latter of which he could carry his speed carrying weight. But yeah, as far as Liam's Map himself goes, son of Unbridled Song. Unbridled Song is a son of Unbridled. Unbridled won the Kentucky Derby in 1990, and Unbridled Song, by the way, is from the family that produced Lucky Pulpit, the sire of another Derby winner in California Chrome. As we take it to the bottom side, Full Effort is out of Call Me the Squeeze, a daughter of Awesome Again, who won the Breeders' Cup Classic and sired a Classic winner in Go Zapper, who set the record of 159 and 2 100ths that still stands. And as you already touched upon as well, Full Effort himself, half-brother to Power Squeeze, a millionaire whose wins include the 10 furlong Alabama. She did finish off the board in the Kentucky Oaks, but hey, that was the year that Torpedo and just crushed them in the slop. So yes, I do think that Full Effort is going to take to the dirt quite nicely here in the Kentucky Derby, guys.
Full Effort, what do you think? 15 to 1, 20 to 1 range, somewhere around there?
Yeah, maybe 20, I think.
Yeah, probably. It felt like he was getting a little bit of buzz, but it's kind of quieted since then. We'll see how that pans out for him. From the West Coast, a couple of horses shipping in So Happy, and one of them also Potente, who was second to So Happy in the Santa Anita Derby. Potente worked out at Santa Anita, and we've got video of that. This is trainer Bob Baffert's runner in this year's Kentucky Derby. This might be one of those scenarios, Tony, where people dismiss because of the most recent last out loss. But in my opinion, there's a little bit more of a story there, and this workout is encouraging.
This workout is very encouraging. His previous workout was also encouraging, so he's coming into this race on a positive note. The Santa Anita Derby was less than a month from the San Felipe, and I always talk about I want a little more better spacing, so he'll get that for the Kentucky Derby. And I think he was kind of forced to be into the race a little earlier than he wanted, and he might get a nice trip. He could be one of those horses like you're talking about in the second flight.
Yes, when they broke out of the gate in the Santa Anita Derby, his stablemate went to his knees, and I just think that changed the entire game plan for that crew, and he was kind of forced to make the lead. And if you watch the replay, he did fight on nicely to mid-stretch, and it was a long way back to third. And this is a horse that won his debut, stretched out into a stakes race, won that, defeating So Happy in the process. So there's some things to like there.
And you're going to get a big price. This horse was 6-5 last time, and for a Bob Baffert trainee in the Kentucky Derby, he's definitely going to be double digits.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to fly under the radar versus Bob's previous horses over the years. And the way he finishes up this drill, Cash Call is the workmate. She ran 5th in the test last year. She's a 4-year-old filly. She just ran 3rd in her comeback bid. So it's not like she's a maiden horse. She has 3 victories from 7 starts and $200,000 in earnings.
You can see the rider asking Potente to finish off.
He's got some funky action up front, though. You gotta.
Yeah.
He travels a little awkwardly.
Certainly a major player, and you will get the price. Wonder Dean, another player in this year's Kentucky Derby. We saw a lot of him yesterday. He schooled in the gate. They school in the gate to get horses used to these scenarios, particularly when you're coming from overseas. Obviously, Churchill, a bit of a different scenario than most racetracks, particularly Derby week. I feel like with Wonder Dean, and I said this yesterday, the last time was the time in terms of betting, but this horse is not without chance.
A Japanese horse will win the Kentucky Derby one of these years. We keep saying it. Forever Young was probably the one that was supposed to. He came very, very close. There's 3 of them this year. Like you said, last time seems like the time that you wanted to be on Wonder Dean.
The horse that I want from Japan this year, we haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about him maybe when he gets here next week. And of course, Wonder Dean, as I mentioned, schooled at the starting gate. We have a special starting gate just for the Kentucky Derby. I wonder if they busted out for that first race on Saturday to give it a little, work the rust off.
I think that's been the tradition, hasn't it?
Yeah, we get to see it. There it is. There's all 20 horses in one gate, and Wonder Dean went and visited it yesterday. They have it set up in the chute, so the horses can step in, step out, and see what it's like.
When we talk about schooling with horses, we're schooling the starting gate.
There you go. Yeah. Speaking of schooling, we need some schooling too sometimes, Tony. We got plenty of time, though, to get those winners in line for this weekend. It is, of course, opening weekend here at Churchill Downs. See the racetrack getting harrowed and ready for the special training time. The opening weekend, this is different than prior years. We've usually, in fact, as long as I've been here, it's been opening night. Now it's opening day, a proper opening day. First post 12:45. We will draw the Oaks in the Derby after race number 3. Tony will share some microphone duties with me on Saturday afternoon, and then we'll wheel right back on Sunday for the first time since 2010. I don't even remember Sunday racing in 2009, do you?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
How long have you been here now?
2015.
Okay.
This is what, number 11 or 12, whatever that math is? Not sure. The Derby draw, of course, the Oaks and Derby draw happening on Saturday between races 3 and 4. Where will it be? Depends on what the weather's looking like. We'll have to see how that shakes out because the forecast's a bit dicey Friday night into Saturday, but we'll see what mood Keith Wetzler, our chief of staff, what mood he is in terms of where that's going to be. Presented by Ford. So don't forget to join us on Saturday between races to see how these races get shaken out.
So important.
It is. Particularly if you have some speed, depending on how things shake out for you. Also, if you can't join us up here in the Aristides Loft to get our autograph or Tony's autograph, you can join us for Dawn at the Downs, starting Thursday at 7 a.m. Come on out to Churchill Downs and watch these horses train. Get your eyes on your Derby horse early. It's kind of cliche, but it's also awesome. Morning at the racetrack is just different. It hits different.
It does. It's a great feeling. It really is. It's tough getting up sometimes at that hour, but it's very rewarding.
Yeah. The rest of the world has not gotten going. It's nice and quiet, and you can enjoy your time. We'll be back after this break with more from Churchill.
When it comes to horse racing, you can never have too much information. With Twin Spires, you can place your bets with confidence, whether you use handicapping insights like our Brisnet speed ratings, prime power and past performances, the guidance of our experts' top picks, or just choose a name that catches your eye. Yes! No matter how you pick your horse, bet with Twin Spires. And now you can race to victory with Twin Spires tournaments.
With over 200 flavor notes to discover, every sip of Woodford Reserve Bourbon is a spectacle for the senses.
And good morning once again from Churchill Downs. The sun is rising. Well, it was rising. Now it's rising again as we welcome you beneath the Twin Spires up here from the Aristides Loft. Travis Stone, Tony Kalo, Kevin Kilroy is on hand. Ren Carruthers is on hand as well this morning for morning workouts presented by TwinSpires.com. We talk a lot about the Derby. There's a big race on Friday, too. I should say Friday at night for the first time.
Yeah, 8:40 posters.
8:40 post, yeah, under the lights.
Prime time.
And this is quite the race.
It really is. So contentious from top to bottom. I mean, look at Zany. She's 8th in the point standings, and boy, she's definitely one of the top contenders. That's how deep this race is.
And you could argue that there's 3 or 4 horses that potentially go favorite. And I'm not sure you could tell me one right now and I'd necessarily buy into it.
I'd like to know what the price will be as well.
Yeah.
4-1, 7-2. It seems like that type of race. Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, it's going to be very competitive in terms of both the odds and the race itself. A lot going on in this race. Lorelei Lee, a horse you're familiar with, Tony, worked out yesterday here. She's got a little bit overshadowed by Chief Wallaby.
Just a little
poor
bit.
girl.
I know.
She's still on the outside looking in. We'll see how that shakes out for her, but this is Lorelei Lee stretching her legs yesterday.
Yeah, she hasn't really done much wrong in her 3-race career. Granted, they were all at Turfway Park this past winter. She has good dirt blood. Nyquist out of a Tappet mare. Recently going 2 turns, she took advantage of somewhat of a soft pace. The favorite in the race, Resplendence, with an inside post, decided she did not want to go. Fernando de la Cruz was very aggressive, and that worked extremely well for Lorelei Lee.
The pace in the Oaks, there certainly is speed. It's not like you can make the case she's going to get away with a slow pace again. But there's not what I would call sprint runoff speed. It's more tactical. A horse like Explorer has speed, but it's not like she's going to go 22-2 to the quarter. Some others, My Miss Mo potentially has some speed if she's in. Pashmina doesn't necessarily have to go. Paradise, they're talking about running her in the 8 bells. So I don't know, maybe there's a scenario where the pace is more on the moderate side, even though it's a big field and it's the Oaks, and Lorelei Lee, so it's a good trip.
Considered a good trip. Obviously, we talk about post positions all the time. I think she's one that would benefit with an outside post.
The run to the first turn of the Oaks is pretty quick. It's a 1.125 race. Churchill's a mile racetrack. But it's really just about a 1 furlong run to that turn. The turn comes up right after the finish line.
It really does, like no other racetrack.
Yeah, and when you watch these races and they run by you the stands for the first time, they work to get position. You can get stuck wide pretty quickly.
That's something you don't want to have to deal with.
We mentioned
Pretty Mischievous seemed to work out pretty good trip that way.
She was much the best.
Yeah.
You do have to be much the best to win from out there.
I would agree.
See how that draw shakes out for some of those. Search Party, we mentioned Mark Casse. Ren was at his barn earlier today. Mark Casse has a couple of runners lined up for the Kentucky Oaks. This one ran second in the Fantasy to his other runner, Counting Stars, who I actually think quite a bit of. Search Party, more of a seasoned horse coming in here. She's got 8 starts and 2 wins. She's rarely run a bad race. She's certainly got a shot.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, the thing about 3-year-olds is they can improve in such a short span. They can improve so rapidly, and maybe perhaps she could turn the tables on Counting Stars.
Last October, Bella Ballerina won her maiden race by more than 4 lengths at Keeneland, wheeled right back and won the Goldenrod here at Churchill Downs, and was widely considered the the winter book favorite for the Oaks. And she didn't disappoint when she came back in the Rachel Alexandra, but she did lose to Fairground Oaks, and I'm officially wondering if Bella Ballerina might be a 1-turn horse. She arrived here to Churchill Downs this week.
Well, they've tried some different training tactics with her. I believe they might be making an equipment change that's still being talked about, and they put her behind workmates, and she was able to try to come with a rally, and I think that's what they want to do. I don't think they want to use her up too soon in the race, and you mentioned perhaps that final 16th final furlong could be a nemesis to her.
We were talking about the morning line favorite for this Kentucky Oaks. I mean, would you be shocked if it's 9-2?
I would not, because I believe there's like 4 or 5 horses that could claim the top spot. So something's got to give. There is no defined favorite in this race.
Nick Tamaro, who's now making the morning line odds here at Churchill Downs, will be on this show next Monday. Looking forward to that. We'll see what he has in mind for the Kentucky Oaks. Odds, always important when you're gambling.
Yes,
and
they kind of
head on over to twinspires.com. That's the best place to bet the Kentucky Derby. And of course, you get your $10 Kentucky Derby bet back. You have to opt in for these promos, but if your horse runs second or third, you can get a bonus bet back up to $10 in the eligible races. So a bit of wagering insurance, if you will, for those of us that know how to pick horses that can't quite get there and run a good second or third for whatever reason. And also, if you've never played in handicapping tournaments, this is something I do enjoy dabbling, and I know you do too, Tony.
Yeah.
When we're not having to our duties here at the racetrack, handicapping tournaments are a lot of fun, and one of the most exciting new entrants to that scene is the Kentucky Derby Betting Challenge with a $300,000 pot. It's really become one of the premier tournaments in the circuit, if you will, joining some of the tournaments you see like the NHC, the BCBC, the contest at Team. And this has quickly ascended the ranks into a must-play.
Twin Spires has done such a great job with the tournaments. Even if you don't have the bankroll, they've got very affordable bankrolls for everyone's budget.
Yeah, so you can work your way up, kind of like the old poker scene. There's Wonder Dean. He's on the racetrack. And all of them, hopefully, are coming onto the racetrack here shortly. We'll take a look at them when we come back after this break.
As they head to the
When it comes to horse racing, you can never have too much information. With Twin Spires, you can place your bets with confidence, whether you use handicapping insights like our Brisnet speed ratings, prime power and past performances, the guidance of our experts' top picks, or just choose a name that catches your eye. Yes! No matter how you pick your horse, bet with Twin Spires. And now you can race to victory with Twin Spires tournaments.
Elegance is an attitude.
Maybe. And good morning. Welcome back to Churchill Downs. And you know what those saddle cloths mean? It's Derby and Oaks time, special designated training time. If you're not associated with one of the two biggest races we run here in Kentucky, you're not allowed on the racetrack during this time. Keeps the track clear for these horses to do their work.
Sovereignty will be allowed.
And sovereignty, well, you know, it's kind of like the Augusta Green Jacket.
I guess so, right?
Yeah. This is Emerging Market, Tony. Our first look at him here at Churchill Downs. This horse is lightly raced. He's only 2 for 2. Gotten a real dogfight in his debut. Gotten a real dogfight in his second career start. And now he's going to try the Kentucky Derby for Chad Brown.
Boy, how times have changed, huh, Travis?
Yeah.
Only 2 starts. Has a Kentucky Derby winner won the race with only 3? I know Mage had 3 going into it, I believe, so that would be 4. Curlin tried it with 3 starts, couldn't do it. Justify, I believe, had 3.
I'd have to check. Our stats guy off to the side here is off today, I guess.
Yeah.
we'll have to look that up. That's actually a really interesting question. I actually, here's what I think about Emerging Market. Chad Brown is he's on the conservative side of training. He's not overly aggressive. He's tactical. The fact that he wants to run this horse here, I think, is telling.
That's a great point because he has in previous years opted to skip this race to go to the Preakness with inexperienced horses.
Yeah.
So that's a vote of confidence for this guy.
Yeah.
And he looked great with that maiden victory. That was an eye-catching score. And then for him to step up in the Louisiana Derby, initial asking against winners, I mean, he was all heart.
By the way, it was also going to mount 3/16.
Yeah.
Like we talked about Potente stretching out from 6th to a mount of 16th. I mean, going a mount 3/16 in your second career start against a horse like Pavlovian, who's got a lot more experience than you do. And the other thing is, Emerging Market is not without speed. So he's fast enough to put himself into some positions early that I think optimize his chances a little bit more, as he's not going to be so reliable on a huge pace or a soft setup or whatever. I think that's another asset that he has.
Yeah, look at the flow in the Louisiana Derby, 46-1. That's pretty legit going a mile and 3/16, 10 and change, and he's only about 3.5 lengths off of that. So, and that was only a second start, so there could be room for him to be even a little bit more forwardly positioned. He certainly is bred top and bottom. Candy Ride out of an Empire Maker mare.
My concern, or what would I'd say my issue with him as if I'm being a horse player, the debut was strong. It was really, really strong. It was a very intense race. Power Shift was unable to bounce out of it, as an example. And then Emerging Market comes back and does it again. Mount 3/16, another just real strong effort, but a real stiff effort. Like they really had to work for it. So then I say to myself, okay, now what? Are we going to take a step forward, or are we going to sort of take a step backward? Are we going to be able to bounce out of that? I think those are all fair questions, to which I would offset that with, we're not talking about a 6-1. He's 15-20-1.
Yeah, we were just talking about it in the previous go about the value and prices. It's amazing sometimes the price of a horse can kind of sway you in a little bit more of that direction, especially if it's enticing enough.
As it should in a gambling game, right?
Yes.
I mean, you got to find where your value is. So, we'll see. I mean, lightly raced, but he's done nothing wrong so far.
And I like the way he looks. I love the way
he didn't have to win that race either.
Exactly.
Like, if he had run a good second, we'd
get some
probably
enough
still
points.
get the same accolades.
Right.
And he gets yeah, for sure.
Seems to be happy. Like how his ears are really attentive there. He's doing things pretty cool there.
One of the members on our team did spend some time down in Louisiana this winter and got a little bit of a look at Emerging Market. I'm curious what Kevin Kilroy has to say.
Guys, you know, all the talk ahead of the Louisiana Derby was that Chad really liked this horse because of his mental maturity, how far ahead he was than a typical 3-year-old typically is in terms of figuring things out, showing the composure, be able to figure out the race and really fall in love with his job. And just seeing him on the track here for the first time, it just doesn't seem like a horse who's on the track for the first time. He has just a very good grace about him, high-class horse, and he's just fallen right into order. He's moving fantastic. I think he's got some more muscle, a little more defined than the last time I've seen him, and I'm excited about what we're seeing from the Chad Brown trainee.
The Crackerjack stat staff here. We got 2 texts to answer that question.
Beautiful.
So he is not the first one that's trying to do this. Leonidas back in 1883. Were you alive for that?
Sometimes I look like I was.
Teo Password tried to do it recently as well.
Okay.
It's not the first one. We talked to Riley earlier. This is incredible. I remember when the Street Sense was run, obviously Sovereignty was fresh in our mind. We're like, here's another Mott winning the Street Sense with a really impressive off-the-pace move. And he quickly became a horse everybody was interested in for the Kentucky Derby. Man, was that a clunker at Gulfstream Park.
Yeah, that is somewhat inexcusable, but hey, I mean, certain horses take to certain racetracks, and it was his first start as a 3-year-old and just wasn't his day. He certainly put that rest away with a heck of an effort in the Virginia Derby, and the more we watched it, Kevin talked about it being one of the more impressive preps, and you were just talking off air how you really liked his stride.
Yeah, so you got to give Riley credit, because after that return race, this is a young trainer. His career's getting going. He's got a good horse. That's got to be a brutal feeling when you don't even lift a foot in your return race. Stayed the course, figured things out.
Yeah.
Maybe decided to alter course a little bit and brought him up to the Virginia Derby. Look, the Virginia Derby was not exactly a field of Kentucky Derby stars, but when the one thing Jaime Torres said was he was much closer to the pace that day than he had ever been before. And if you watch the replay, he exploded down the stretch.
And I like the way he did it, in behind horses, not being phased, probably taking significant kickback, dove to the rail, and that final furlong was ultra impressive. Was a one-turn affair, and he hasn't run since the middle of March. Will it be enough to get him the 1.25 mile, on Derby Day?
Pattern-wise, he's supposed to take a big step forward,
Okay.
but I do think the gap is a concern.
I think it is as well.
It's a long time off, 1-turn race, now going 2 turns. Incredible, though. I think he's a live, long shot. He's going to run a good race. I feel like it's just whether or not it's good enough to beat some of these. Bella Ballerina's on the racetrack, and this is a racetrack she's familiar with. She won, of course, the Golden Rod, which is our premier race here at Churchill for 2-year-old fillies, run in late November, which feels like it was right around the corner, but it's also right around the corner again coming up.
I know.
I don't know if she's necessarily a 2-turn horse. But that also might be unfair of me to say. She's done well enough. She obviously has a chance in here, but she definitely does have to get a little bit faster.
She has to get a little bit faster. Her last couple of victories were by short margins in the Golden Rod. You talked about it, how the pace was a little funky that day. I think there was a runoff in that affair, and she got a little leg weary late, and Atropa was making a big move and couldn't quite get to her. Comes back in the Rachel Alexander, does what she's supposed to do. Unfortunately, in the next start, she loses. The one thing I said the other day is, if you like her and you're going to stick with her, at least you're going to get rewarded, because I see her odds being significantly higher compared to her 2 preps leading up to
we talked
the
about this yesterday. This is the first. She's certainly not going to be favored in here.
No, not at all. Not off that race.
There's too many other fillies that are going to take some action. And so for the first time, she's been favored in 3 of her 4 starts, and not just favored, like 4-5 in one of them, even money in the other. So you're finally going to get a price on her.
I mean, she probably goes off around 6 or 7 to 1, 8 to 1 even.
Maybe even higher. I think this race is very competitive. If you're talking about a favorite at 4 to 1.
Yeah, somebody's got to be double digits.
Yeah, and perhaps it's her, trainer Brendan Walsh. He's had a nice little run over the past 5+ years.
And it seems like handicappers of late, I've noticed over the last couple of years, boy, those recent defeats, they hold against them a lot more than I used to do back when I was younger.
We were talking off air. I remember Thunder Gulch lost the final race leading into his Kentucky Derby, and even with like a mutual field, I think there was a coupled entry, he was 25 to 1 or so.
Just because of the recent effort.
Yeah, I get that the game has changed. They don't run as much leading up to these races, but for what it's worth, who knows? We saw incredible earlier. Albus is out there as well. You know, we watched that Wood Memorial replay, Tony. Albus, Riley seems confident that 10 furlongs is not going to be a problem. I don't know if I totally buy that based on the replay because he was swapping leads a bit late, perhaps just a bit of greenness or whatever. But Right to Party was getting to him late in that race. Right to Party, I think, is a horse that could run for 16 furlongs. So we'll see if that shakes out for us.
Yeah, when I was watching the replay, that's the same thoughts I had. I was like, this horse, I wouldn't say he was desperate to get to the wire, but definitely Right to Party was the one that kind of caught my attention a little more when they hit the wire.
Kevin Kilroy and I'm sure both needed Oselli. I thought that was Oselli's day.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to be chasing Oselli until he retires. He's got a big win on his name at some point here, but Albus can be a big long shot. He's the other Riley, if you will.
You know, his speed figure was not the greatest in the Wood Memorial, and he'll have to improve quite a bit. Now, granted, 3-year-olds can jump up out of nowhere and really improve those figures, but between a poor speed figure and the level of competition in the Wood Memorial, there's just so many other horses that seem more enticing.
Third and fourth in the Derby is often up for grabs,
Yeah.
even sometimes second when the pace gets really crazy. And think of like horses like Make Music for Me and Golden Soul getting up for second. But third and fourth can kind of be up for grabs. So I guess you never know.
Right.
I just think there's a couple of other more interesting. Oh, here's Wonder Dean, Tony. We haven't seen him in a minute.
Wonder Dean, he's been getting a lot of airtime, that's for sure. Yeah, I talk about it all the time. I'm not the guy to go to about the Japanese horses. You've touched upon how you thought last time was the time to get them. It seems to me that 6 Speed I find a little more intriguing with his American Kentucky blood, not this time out of a Medaglia d'Oro mare and being forwardly positioned. And then the one that we haven't seen, the undefeated one, Denon Bourbon, he seems to be the one of the trio.
Yeah, so my notes on Wonder Dean, I went back, I've watched all of his replays, and like, here's an example. Flat start, no speed early, broke mid, off near back, no speed again. This horse really doesn't have much speed. However, I will counter that with my comment for his most recent race was broke better. So perhaps he turned a corner on that front. He really had no shot in the Saudi Derby. He was wide, just the way the race shook out. So I felt like last time was the time to have him, and he did win it. I feel like Denon Bourbon is the more interesting Japanese runner. So we'll see if we can get a look at Denon Bourbon when he gets here to Churchill. I think he's a really interesting horse in this year's Derby. I'm not trying to be a wise guy and just be a guy that picks the first Japanese winner, but I think he's really interesting. Here's Chip Honcho. I went back and watched Chip Honcho's replays yesterday afternoon. This horse has talent. If you watch some of his earlier career races, he has a tendency at times to get a bit keen and restive and unsettled, tossing his head about. I don't know what to make of the losing in a Derby, though. He just kind of backed up and was a non-participant in there, and was a much weaker effort than the Risen Star. But we just talked about it. Like, if you're willing to forgive a poor recent start, this horse is not impossible. He's at least going to have a say in the early part of the race.
I think a post position draw is important for him. I'd like to see him a little bit towards the outside. He had a recent work where he was outside of a mate, and he wasn't really gunned, and he was kind of sitting off of him. And those type of tactics, let's say 6 Speed goes to the front and maybe Chip Honcho with an outside post can secure that second or third position. Perhaps he can revert back to the big effort. I mean, he only loses by half a length to Paladin. That has to have some, you have to think about that. That's a good run. Paladin would be one of the top players in here.
In my opinion, Steve Asmussen is the best trainer out there at developing dirt horses. He's not afraid to run them. He's not afraid of losing. He's not trying to cherry pick spots to preserve, near perfect records. He runs them and gets them going, and perhaps that plays a role in this as well. With Chip Honcho, he's gonna have to outrun some odds and some speed figures too.
That's for sure.
Silent Tactic, I don't know if I think Silent Tactic can necessarily win the Derby. He's going to have to find a lot of lengths on a horse like Renegade. But you want to talk about a consistent, fires every time. He will make a run in the far turn because that's what he always does. He's been keen in some of his races. He's been behind horses, moved outside, ran late, whatever. This is a really cool horse.
He is. 6 starts, 2 wins in 4 seconds. He brings his game, that's for sure. He looks sensational winning the Southwest. He was a good closing second in the Smarty Jones prior to that. He's battle tested. That's for sure. He has 4 legitimate preps leading up to this race. His running style should be all right. He's a horse that figures to make a run and get some of it. For a horse that, 20 to 1, 25 to 1?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, he's not a bad horse.
To be. Yeah,
has to be, right?
Yeah.
Not a bad horse to include in the exactas and trifectas.
Now, my read on Silent Tactic, I did a Twin Spires video earlier in the year. I think he's more of a middle distance horse, maybe a one-turn closer type. In fact, he kind of runs like that big middle move, and with a bit of a flatten out late. The other problem for him in terms of this race is it does feel like in all of these sort of late round Derby preps, he ran into a horse that was just a little bit better than him. And the horse he beat, 3-back Sojourn Diplomat, I do think is a one-turn horse. So I kind of feel like that's the scenario with him. But when you watch his replays, there's a run in every single one of them.
Yeah, another quip. Maybe did he peak just a little too soon as well?
It's possible. Yeah, it's possible. Although Cassie is a lot like Asmussen, where they're not afraid to run and they're not afraid to develop their horses. And speaking of developing horses and Mark Cassie, Counting Stars is a filly with 7 career starts, and she was on the racetrack as well today. This is a nice horse. Her fantasy was stout. Her debut was nice. And though her record's not perfect, when she's run well, she's run very well.
Yeah, of her 7 races, 5 of those races have been rock solid. 4 wins and a second. She has a victory over this racetrack. I believe there's only 3 fillies in the Oaks that have won over the Churchill down surface. She had some great works leading up to the debut run. I was a big fan immediately. I think Songbird might have had an offspring in that race, which I picked on top, which I'm still regretting. So I'm sorry, Counting Stars, but forgive the effort, 3-back, and she's done nothing wrong. I thought she ran exceptionally well to Explorer, 2-back, and she really put it all together in the fantasy. She had good size to her, too. Travis.
Yeah, and behind Explorer, she dropped well off the pace, and last time, just by the nature of the race, she was more forward. So Counting Stars is versatile. She can be placed forward or come from off the pace. That'll be useful in a 14-horse field of competitive fillies. Speaking of fillies, Paradise for trainer Brad Cox. He's been on record as saying they might be either pursuing the Oaks or the 8 Bells, maybe hinting at the fact that he thinks that she might be a little bit better going shorter.
Well, her shorter races are significantly better versus the long-distance race and the Gazelle, soundly defeated as the favorite. Now, granted, we say sometimes you got to be willing to forgive an effort, but it kind of looks like on paper the shorter distance, especially with the Munnings blood on the bottom.
Venetian Harbor, she was a good one-turn horse, right? If I remember correctly? Yeah, I think so. Paradise probably.
I'm not going to second-guess your memory,
I think so. I'm almost positive now for trainer Brad Cox, Paradise on the racetrack. What do we got next? Who was this? Commandment earlier today. Look at that horse, Tony.
Well, everybody knows that he's my #1 pick as of right now. Travis, I made a little future bet on him in November, so I've got some pretty good odds, and had a big thrill this winter for him to still be on the trail, and he's going to be one of the favorites. He looks the part. The question is, will that style get him to the Derby victory? He doesn't have a quick turn of foot. He's a relentless grinder. He rattles off the 12s.
Yeah, but he's consistent.
Yeah.
And
has a will to win.
I think that Renegade, who figures to be somewhat near him, this horse is fresh. And he worked out, was it 2 or 3 days ago?
3 days ago.
Yeah, so, this is a horse that's feeling good. Renegade's probably going to be ahead of him. Renegade's a little bit of a quicker, bursty type horse.
Right.
But I would anticipate Commandment being right on his heels on that far turn. And it's whether or not he can sort of run down with him.
He seems to be maybe that he's going to need the trip, because I don't know if he has that burst like you're talking about to maneuver in and out of traffic.
Yeah.
He's going to need that outside rally like Sovereignty put in last year.
If Commandment can't fire, Brad's got another option in Further Ado, who I think is the most interesting horse in this race, because there's a chance we wake up on Sunday morning and say to ourselves, I can't believe we all let Further Ado get away at 6, 7, or 8 to 1, or whatever the price is, a horse that's won some races by 20 lengths or so. But there are some question marks, because both of those big wins came down the road at Keeneland. He did win here at Churchill, but it wasn't as visually impressive or flashy. But I think Brad Cox can be a little bit transparent. He seems confident in his trio, and for some reason my read on this, I think he likes Further Due quite a bit.
He should. He's coming into the race in great order. His workout the other day showed that there was no hint of a regression of balance. That was a very good move from him. He's tactical, which his stablemate commandment. He's going to be in a better spot through the early stages. Good friend of mine, David DeSpiva, who's got a good eye. He's been around horses his whole life. He said that this horse has improved his training out of the Tampa Bay Derby significantly as when he went into it. It's not like into the Tampa Bay Derby. It's not like he ran poorly against the Puma.
Well, and that was also a race that I think all of us had a hard time interpreting, right? The Tampa Bay Derby kind of looked like a goofy race, and initially the figure was low, and they made some adjustments on it. And the way the horses have wheeled back out of that, it actually wasn't that bad of a race. A lot of them came out of it throwing well.
I think Canaletto has a future when he gets back into action, too. So,
yeah,
good
that's
race.
right. Yeah, coming back, I believe, later on this year, late summer or the fall. As you can see the sun rising over one of the many spots you can watch workouts and morning training here at Churchill Downs. That'll not be nearly as empty in 1 week from now. I think that was the professor making a little bit of an appearance there, sneaking in on the left-hand side. We welcome you back to the Aristides Loft.
He's tired of Wonder Dean getting all the play.
Anyway, so yeah, we're onward. I mean, there's no turning back now.
Yeah, every day we get dazzled by another work. Today it was Patente, stamping himself as maybe a horse that's going to have some value for you from a wagering standpoint. Yeah, that was a good move.
That was a good move, and again, he's going to be forwardly placed in a race that I think that might be where you want to be as they make their move around the far turn. There's a lot going on all week long, and of course, opening weekend on Saturday. We said it earlier, this is opening day now. We're going to run at 12:45 on Saturday afternoon, and then, of course, wheeling back on Sunday, also at 12:45. So if you can't get enough racing Saturday, come right back Sunday, and that'll roll us into Kentucky Derby week on Saturday as well. 1 week out of the Oaks and Derby means it's draw time, so we're going to draw the Oaks and the Derby between races on Saturday, so we can see where all of these horses we've been talking about each morning, where they slot into that starting gate, and that's when the real work begins. You start to map out, okay, if this horse is here, where's that horse going to be? And it all comes together.
Yeah, we continually talk leading up to the draw, but that's the most important part to get that fine tuning done.
The tension when that one hole is still open in that draw, you can feel it in the room. It's actually quite intense. It's very.
You can feel it in your living room.
Yeah, you can. Hopefully, the right sort of horse draws post one this year. If you want to bet the Kentucky Derby, you can do so on twinspires.com. Don't forget the $10 bet back. Opt in. If your horse runs second or third, you can get back up to $10 in those eligible races, and you get more action because that's what you need. You just need a chip and a chair in this game. The Kentucky Derby bet back gives you that opportunity. The Kentucky Derby Betting Challenge, a $300,000 prize pool handicapping tournament. If you haven't done the handicapping tournament scene, explore it. It's a lot of fun. It's a totally different way of playing the races. It makes you think about your value, your structure. As we know, it's all about the structure, what your game plan is, your plan of attack. It's totally different than when you walk in to Churchill on a random afternoon and have to string together some doubles or whatever. It's just a fun way to approach the race.
Yeah, it's awesome. And as I mentioned earlier, Twin Spires has so many affordable tournaments. So if you're new to it, you can start at a very affordable level and work your way up, like Travis mentioned, kind of like when you're starting on that poker table.
Yeah, and maybe one day the Kentucky Derby gonna like a green jacket like the Masters, right? So, Tony, what'd you think of today? Any changing thoughts? Any opinions molding? Are we still fluid? What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I still like all my players up top. I thought the Florida Derby was the best prep. Can't wait to get Renegade here so we can see what he's looking like on the racetrack. But just keep it going, moving forward, and try not to get too caught up in the moment with each work. It's hard every day.
It's impossible.
It really is.
The chatter is so loud here. Kilroy, you're on the backstretch where there's some chatter that's going to grow with each and every day. What are you seeing out there?
First of all, I'm seeing your guys' big guns. You guys look good up there on the desk, showing off your muscles. But then the muscles of Emerging Market, I thought that physically he just impressed me a little bit more than ahead of the Louisiana Derby. And the way he was just falling into his stride here, making his first appearance on the track. Is he the one that will get double-digit odds on? That's what I'm kind of looking for right now, who's going to be a little bit under the radar. Emerging Market looked fantastic. Commandment, I love the spunk that he's been showing. He's going to save something good for that big race there on the first Saturday in May. Ren Carruthers on the backside. Have you seen some of these Colts and fillies out there? Have you been getting the steam? What do you got for us?
Well, a lot of on back here. I just saw Right to Party come off track, get his bath. He looked great out there, real fresh. Also, Bella Ballerina, she was very composed. I asked Brennan, he had to get out with another set, how he felt that she was this morning. Obviously, it wasn't to work, but he liked what he saw from her. So lots going on. I'm going to be going around getting some interviews after this that we can get some insight on some of the other horses that have arrived. But I haven't got my Derby horse just yet. I am looking very much to seeing Renegade, as the guys are, once he gets into town, and maybe partly because his name is Renegade. But for now, back to you guys up there in the studio. And thanks, Travis. Thanks, Tony.
Recency bias is a thing on the Kentucky Derby Trail.
It really is.
What you saw yesterday is what you think about today, and then what you see today is what you think about tomorrow. We'll see how it all continues to play out.
We have to tether that enthusiasm, wait for the draw, try to maintain our composure.
Hold it together for that big Saturday, Sunday card as we kick off Derby week. I'm happy to be back. You're with me tomorrow, right?
Yeah, one more day.
Yeah, one more day, Tony and I, so you can hear us blabber on in the mornings. Thank you for joining us this morning. Hope you enjoyed what you saw. Thank you to Kevin Kilroy and Ren Carruthers. There's a look at another Derby horse getting ready. We'll be back tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.